It was a rare display of bipartisanship as members of both sides of the House put aside their policy differences by passing a resolution granting legal authority to a declaration of state of emergency to curb the spread of COVID-19 in St. Lucia. The proclamation by Governor General requires the approval of Parliament to authorize the exercise of emergency powers to preserve health, welfare, and public safety. An accompanying statutory instrument spelling out the details of the emergency from the imposition of curfew to quarantine, isolation, border control, and social distancing also became law.
The only way for us to achieve what we want to achieve, i.e., as of midnight last night, we are not accepting anyone coming back to St. Lucia. The only individuals or groups that would be allowed to come back to St. Lucia have to be under the explicit approval of the CMO, not even the Prime Minister. The CMO is the one who has to be able to give the approval of anyone wanting to come back, and she has to determine whether those reasons are warranted. So I do know that a special permission was given for the Cuban doctors coming in and nurses. But that is really her domain to be able to make those kinds of decisions. So again, it was necessary, and I'm very grateful to the Governor General in recognizing the urgency of the matter. And I'm also looking for the support of my colleagues in Parliament to endorse the proclamation and extending it until the end of April. And if in fact we need to extend the period, then it will require myself, the Prime Minister, to come back to the House to give a report on how we have conducted ourselves in the last 26 days and why we think we may need to extend it.
The leader of the opposition advised the incumbent to proceed with caution.
We have handled that people take it for what it's worth, Mr. Speaker. And not because we have absconded in our duties, but because we think that we have a crisis. And in a crisis situation where lives are involved, because the science is saying that if this thing goes unabated in this country, Mr. Speaker, hundreds of us will die. That is a fact.
Dennery North MP Sean Edward, who highlighted the need for the spirit of cooperation, called for constructive but not contentious and divisive exchanges.
This is not a time for the politics, as I said, because there is a crisis on our doorstep. This is not a time for anybody to cry wolf. This is not a time to try and elicit sympathy for the things we probably would have done wrong in times gone. But instead, Mr. Speaker, we must all put our shoulders to the wheel, and we have to do whatever is necessary for the betterment and benefit of the people of St. Lucia.
Despite the conciliatory tone, the opposition, which recommended a number of amendments to the legislation, has reservations about the initial lack of specifics, the statute, timing, and language of the declaration. While granting latitude to the administration given the nation is on a war footing, members opposite warned against the lack of transparency and excesses, especially on the issue of civil liberties.
But the government decided it wants a state of emergency. Again, like we said, we're giving the government all the space to do what's necessary. But a state of emergency is a very serious set of powers to give a competent authority. And I think, Mr. Speaker, we want to give the people of St. Lucia the assurance that we will be extra vigilant to make sure that there are no abuses under the state of emergency. The Prime Minister has given the assurance in this House, but we have a responsibility, in as much as we're giving the government as much space to do what it thinks is necessary. We will be very, very vigilant and to give St. Lucians the comfort. People are concerned about their rights. People are concerned about being discriminated against, and I do not want to go in any debate or presentation of any evidence, Mr. Speaker, but to say that we will be vigilant.
According to the resolution, a person who contravenes this order commits an offense and is liable to imprisonment with or without hard labor for a term not exceeding 6 months or a fine not exceeding $1,000 or both, and forfeiture of goods or money in respect of which the offense has been committed. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.